In this chapter, I'm going to discuss the magic of the blenders category. The blenders category is a brush, and basically what it does is it blends. It blends the paint that is already there. And in the case of photo painting, it blends the pixels and it transforms them into paint strokes. It's just amazing. And before we even jump into the blenders category, which we have an entire category, and every variant works differently. We have brushes that add paint. We have brushes that blend and add color, and then we have those that just blend on their own. And those are the blending categories. Now, the main ingredient in the blending category is the makeup in the property bar, and that would be the resaturation value. And let me explain. Let me go here on the side for 1 minute. Before I go off this topic, take a look at the blenders grainy water. Grainy water is my best friend. It is what I do all my underpainting with. But the first thing that you'll notice is the saturation, the resatch is 0%. Just remember that for a few minutes and I will tell you how this plays in. Let's go back to my pastels and let's choose a nice bright color. And let me come in here and just paint. Okay. Now, I have resaturation set at 100% on the Artist Pastel Chalk. If I go down lower, that means, let's say 10%, that means that my brush, my Artist Pastel brush, now has 10% of paint on the brush applied to it. And let me explain further. Let me undo these two brush strokes. Let me explain to you what exactly is this resaturation. And I'm going to do a simulation over here of the traditional world. I have here a palette with colors on it. If I were to come in with a brush and select a color, let's say I'd select the blue, and then I proceed to paint with it, I just picked up the color blue. If I were to come and select the green, I just picked up and I painted with the green, okay? And I am simulating how we paint. We have the artist palette in our hand and we pick up the paint and we proceed to apply it to our canvas. Now, how much paint did I scoop up on the tip of my brush when I selected it is what resaturation means. And let me explain to you here with this example. This is a paintbrush. It's an image of a paintbrush. And notice how there is paint on the paintbrush. I pick up the paint and I apply it to my paintbrush and then I proceed to paint with it. So how much paint there is on the paintbrush is the number of resaturation on it. Okay? So if I were to have 0 saturation on it, meaning there's nothing applied to my brush, there's absolutely no paint on it because it says 0. So my traditional brush at 0% saturation would look like these brushes. They would look like plain, dry brushes. Now, if I were to take a brush with absolutely no paint on it, and I were to apply it to an image that has pixels on it, that's where the magic begins. And I will show you. So again, this is what a brush looks like at 0 resaturation. And this is what a brush looks like at any value above 0 resaturation. It means that it has paint applied to it. Okay? Now, this was just to simulate what I was showing you. Let me close this as well. And let me open up now the bride image. And let me show you. Let me put the blenders into action. Okay. If I'm going to go now, let me reset the Artist Pastel Chalk. Let me zoom in just to a corner over here to demonstrate. If I were to, I'm clicking on this little button here and it sets it back to default. If I were to come in here with a large size brush and I were to paint with color, 100% resaturation, it's giving me 100% of the paint applied to my brush. If I were to take it down all the way to 0 and come in just over here and do the same thing, what's happening is that it's blending what's there, and it blended the white down. If I were to take the color and bring it up, it would bring the brown or the green tones upwards. So what happens is when you have a brush with 0% value of saturation to it, it becomes a blender. It blends whatever is there, and it blends it in the direction of which way you pull your brush. Now this isn't exactly the brush that I turned into a blender, but that's the one that I was showing you how I applied color or not. The perfect brushes for these are in the blenders category. And let me go there now. Like I told you before, grainy water from factory default is 0 saturation. So if I were to come over here on the edge, and let's make it just a little larger, and I were to pull out the colors, again, it makes a difference which way I'm going, which direction. I'm blending what's there. If I were to go and start in the white and bring it down, it's going to bring me the white down. So what I am actually doing is blending the image. I'm not painting. I didn't apply any color. It's got 0% saturation.